Hey everybody, this is Doomhammer with a Week 7 recap of the 32-team franchise. Let's get to it. So, two undefeated teams, the 6-0 Rams and the 6-0 Dolphins face off, and it was the 7-0 Dolphins who get the win. They go 282 yards, 3 touchdowns for Newton, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 216 yards for Luck. Matt Forte with an impressive 129 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. We see A.J. Jenkins, who has had a fantastic season so far. In 7 games, 449 yards for the third-string receiver. You see Calvin Johnson, almost over 1,000 yards, and it's only 7 weeks. Jordy Nelson performing less than A.J. Jenkins. Hester, I don't think has gotten a catch yet. He's been kind of the return man. But there you have it. The Dolphins keep their undefeated season going. Then you've got the Baltimore Ravens falling to the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas goes 4-3, 4 touchdown passes, 264 yards by Wilson, 1 touchdown, 330 yards for Colin Kaepernick. But again, the Ravens are having another down year. It seems like Kaepernick is just not the guy to do it. It's unfortunate. I thought he was able to maybe be that spark for the Ravens. And really, there's not a lot of good options moving forward at quarterback. At first, I thought that there'd be a lot of great options at quarterback over the years. So you have people like Eli Manning, and you have and then you have the random rising stars coming from other teams. But you're gonna get the option of Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota, and that's it in this draft class. Then you'll have, of course, the Jared Goff. Carson Wentz. But then you go into like even I think Prescott is coming up soon. But there's not a lot of great options. So quarterbacks are far and few between right now of who's an actual legitimate starter. Fitzgerald, 108 yards receiving. Brandon Marshall, 129 yards and a touchdown. So that's just to finish up, to stay on topic. But then you have a shocker here. So the Browns, 1-5, defeat the undefeated 6-0 Philadelphia Eagles, giving them their first loss. You can see Terrell Pryor with 252 yards, 2 touchdowns, 41 yards rushing. He got injured for a portion of the game. That's why Josh Johnson threw, 1 pass. McNabb, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns. Just were not able to keep up with the Browns. Deshaun Jackson had 198 yards, 1 touchdown. Andre Johnson, 82 yards, 1 touchdown. Spread the ball out very well here for the Cleveland Browns. We see running game, nothing spectacular there. Hightower, not spectacular either. Former Eagle, Tim Hightower. Then we've got the Patriots falling again, having another loss. I still can't believe how they're not doing well. You'll have to let me know in the comments if you think Bill Belichick should be on the hot seat after missing the playoffs last year and then right now having a down year again. You've got Tom Brady, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jamal Charles, 71 yards. We see Brandon Tate, 100 yards receiving. And then Jarvis Landry, the rookie, who's been having a pretty solid rookie year for the Patriots. Are they able to really turn this around? Mark Sanchez gets 180 yards. Then you've got the running back, C.J. Spiller, 102 yards, touchdown. And then Earl Bennett, DeAndre Hopkins, under 60 yards each. But they come away with the win, and that's by 1 point. And then you've got the Colts falling 1-6. And the Detroit Lions, 3-4. Tannehill, 158 yards, 1 touchdown. All he needed to complete the victory over the Colts. I think they tied the game. They kicked the field goal to win it. Kirk Cousins, 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. 107 yards for Johnson. 91 yards for Jaquez Rodgers in his first start since the crushing injury to Reggie Bush. I did edit him, so now his injury and toughness are much lower, so I think I dropped him 20 points. So he was 88 injury before, now he's 68. So he can come back from this injury, but he's going to likely get injured more often because if you have that difficult of an injury, you're not going to come back the same. And I probably should knock his speed and acceleration, agility as well, because if you're suffering such a big injury, that's hard to come back from. Patterson, 92 yards. PK Sam, 91. But that's not enough, and the Lions get the win. Then you got the Giants, who squeak away a tight victory against the Pittsburgh Steelers. We see Barkley with 268 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Matthews, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Odell Beckham, 124 yards. And then you got Big Ben, 317, 4 touchdowns, 1 turnover there. Then you've got Todman coming back from injury, only getting 4 carries and 22 yards. They were trailing for most of the game. Michael Floyd, 147 yards and a touchdown, finishing this game. And they did it. The Packers are no longer winless. So just like that, they play themselves most likely out of the #1 pick. Yay, good job. You didn't get Winston. Well, there's still a chance. But Osweiler, 346 yards, 4 touchdowns, having an absolute stellar game for the Packers. And this is really about Osweiler playing the Packers out of a chance to draft a quarterback. Because if he starts to win with them, or at least plays them to the point where they don't get a top pick, he could be coming back as a starter next year. And if they lose a lot more, Taj Boyd might get a chance to start as a 4th-round rookie. 51 overall, so I'm not expecting much. Tavares Jackson, 260 yards, 4 touchdowns. Good performance by him, but not good enough. David Wilson, 31. And then you got Jackson, who is probably will be likely replaced if they can get a better quarterback. But he's their starter for now. This is his 2nd season with them. We'll see how that goes. But Slater and Jennings not having that great of an outing. I mean, 2 touchdowns for Jennings, 136 yards for Aurelius. Yep, Aurelius Ben, Antonio Brown, Randall Cobb, getting not many catches, but some yards there. And then the Seattle Seahawks keep on soaring. Stafford, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns. Lynch, 895 yards, 2 touchdowns. We see the injury to Mike Evans keeps him out for 3 weeks, 2 more weeks since the injury. But you got Devontae Adams getting 110 yards. You see Demaryius Thomas, 107 and 2 touchdowns. And then they have some tight end play there. Whereas the Chiefs had a pretty solid game despite being 4-1. They fall 4-2. Bortles with 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Trent Richardson, 82 yards. This man's been doing pretty well, unlike in real life. He's still chugging along. Actually, technically, Trent has had a better rookie season in real life than he did in my franchise. But I think Richardson is starting to play at a level where he is probably going to have a longer career than Trent Richardson did in real life. And really, the only receivers playing a role in this was Hunter and Brian Hartline. So they didn't really spread the ball out very much. Then you got the San Diego Chargers falling to the Oakland Raiders. Matt Ryan, 195 yards, 3 touchdowns. Rodgers had 2 picks, 2 touchdowns, 180 yards. 117 for Foster, 118 for Green, and then 1 touchdown. Robert Woods, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns. Macklin, Gates, Foster, kind of a mix there. And then Julio Jones just didn't crack 50 yards. But it was enough for them to come away with the victory. So Oakland breaks the 3-3 500 record while the Chargers fall. And then you got the Niners getting absolutely trampled. There we go. That's the word. Sorry, I'm recording this video very late, so thinking in words. Anyway, 35 points to 13. Breeze, 144 yards and 2 interceptions. Bradford, the opposite. We see 108 yards and 2 touchdowns, no turnovers. Bradshaw, 126 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Zach Ertz and Green getting a touchdown. Running game for the 49ers, not great. And then Jeffries gets the 81 yards. Right now, the 79 overall, 35-year-old quarterback Breeze is struggling, and we'll see how San Francisco decides to move forward. I'm debating. I mean, I don't know. Maybe if you were watching this and you see the comments, what would you do? Do you think you need to maybe start someone like Bruce Gradkowski or I don't know about the sophomore quarterback, so on and so on. But do you go and try to replace Breeze, and maybe you look into the draft? Maybe you're drafting somebody. I don't think they're going to be bad enough to get Winston or Mariota. I suppose they could try to trade for Mariota. But I could see them trying to maybe overthink this and go for like a quarterback maybe in a later round. I mean, when we look at these quarterbacks from 2015, we're looking at Garrett Grayson, Sean Mannion, Bryce Petty, Brett Hundley, Trevor Siemian, and that's really it. It was a pretty weak class. So you could look at someone from that 2015 class, maybe like a Trevor Siemian or someone. But that's not, I mean, if you're a Niners fan and you're hearing me think about Trevor Siemian replacing Drew Brees, you're probably not too excited about that. But anyway, 49ers got to figure it out. They're not going to be bad enough to probably pick Winston or Mariota. They could trade up for one. But I think right now we're looking at the downfall of the 49ers dynasty with Brees. Dropping to a 79 overall. He's going to get worse this season. And I still think Drew Brees would be the type of quarterback that would demand being a starter. So I wouldn't make him a backup anywhere. But I would take a look at, is there a team desperate for a quarterback that would maybe go for him? And then he finishes his career somewhere else. I don't know yet. Still trying to figure that storyline out. And then we've got, I forget if this was a primetime game, I think. Cardinals take on the undefeated Falcons. And Cardinals were doing pretty well, bouncing back in this season, trying to get back in that playoff picture. And the Falcons trying to stay undefeated. And 362 yards and 4 TDs is what it takes. 229 yards for Emmanuel Sanders, 3 touchdowns for him, 1 for Bell receiving, and a rushing touchdown and 80 yards for Bell. Noshawn Marino is back from injury, and he's got 63 yards. Dalton, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick. 106 yards by Wallace with 2 touchdowns, and Givens, 84 yards. I mean, Cardinals put up some decent stats. It just was not enough compared to 4 TDs and 362 yards by Peyton Manning. We'll see if the Falcons are a real Super Bowl contender. And what's funny about the Falcons is that they're not that highly rated of a team. So their overall is worse than a lot of the teams in the league, but they're coming away with wins. Another team struggling right now this year is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 3 touchdowns, 194 yards by Gabbert. We see McFadden having a lower level performance. I don't know if he got hurt for a little bit, but Spencer Ware gets some carries, the second-year man out of LSU. We see no touchdowns, but 38 yards by Ware. Josh Gordon, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. As for the Saints, who come away with a victory, this was the primetime game. This was the Thursday night football game. And so Michael Vick comes in to start over Geno Smith, who is struggling. So the 1-5 Saints replace their quarterback, Geno Smith, for Michael Vick, because Pat Shurmur wants to try to save his job. And Vick comes away with the victory over his division rival on Thursday Night Football. Vick, 76 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns to go with that 1 touchdown passing. And we see Greg Olsen having one of his... how has he been this season? Okay, he had a 106-yard game the 1 week. So this is technically his best performance, but he's had a decent performance before. But one of his best outings as a tight end. And then I think this is the Monday Night Football game. Panthers defeat the Bears. So Carson Palmer, who the Bears traded for, trying to get themselves back into a more competitive state in the NFC North, falls again. So 119 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, not enough to cut it. 266 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception for Flacco. 61 yards from Jason Hill and 2 rushing touchdowns. Torrey Smith, the man, get 115 yards. T.Y. Hilton has been injured, but they don't need him. They still get the win. And then the Bears have sort of a receiver by committee, but no one getting more than 50 yards. As we look for impact performers, we see Osweiler, Manning at the very top there. We see a lot of 4 touchdown passes by those quarterbacks. Some running back performers and passing performers. Barkley there with the surprising impact performer. Top rookies. Weekly leaders. Again, I won't go too much through these. You just take a look. An injury report. Beeson's bad for the Browns. We see Ted Ginn. That's a big loss. All right, let's go ahead and get to the standings for a quick review. So the AFC East, we see the Texans, the Jets and the Dolphins undefeated. Jets have that half game because of the bye week. Then you've got Patriots 3-4 behind them with a 43% win percentage. Buffalo 2-4. Pittsburgh is 1 game ahead of the Bengals. So I guess the Bengals are really bouncing back since this last season when they were able to get Jadeveon Clowney, Derek Carr, and Devonta Freeman. Yeah, the Ravens and the Browns tied at 2-5. Again, they're all still technically in it, but I think right now Pittsburgh's in the driver's seat. But Bengals are getting close. And then you've got the Texans and the Jaguars tied at 4-2. And then you've got the Tennessee Titans and the Colts way behind, 3 games behind them, 1-6 each. The AFC West right now, the most competitive division, I think, because they're all kind of equally within 2 games. You got the Broncos 5-2, Chiefs a half game behind them at 4-2, Raiders 4-3, and Chargers 3-4. And then you got the NFC where you got the Eagles 6-1. They finally did their first loss on the year. Cowboys 4-3, Giants a half game behind them at 3-3, Commanders 1-5. Manziel lost that 1 game, so I mean Manziel. I guess they had their bye week. Then you got Detroit Lions 3-4, so they have a losing record, but they're number 1 in the division. Minnesota Vikings with the former MVP RG3 just 2-4, and that's why the trade happened for Palmer, because the Bears were like, hey. Just because we're having I was about to say another expletive. They're having a really rough season. So 1-6, they could possibly win the division because they're only 2 games behind. But that 5-game losing streak is not helpful. And you got the Packers, who finally got their first win, tied with the Bears. So I guess Packers are still in the running for the number 1 seed or the division leader. I'm not banking on it. I would not be betting on them. And then you got the NFC South, who was a very competitive division last year, where almost all 4 teams were close to making the playoffs, except for the Saints. So I guess the 3 teams, Buccaneers, Panthers, and Falcons. But this year, it's looking to be a Falcons division, and the Panthers, Saints, and Buccaneers are just hanging out. Then Seattle, they're on a 6-game win streak. The Rams were undefeated up until this last week game against the Dolphins. And then you got the Cardinals, 4-3, still a winning record. And the 49ers, as we just discussed before, struggling a bit. If we look at the playoff picture right now, again, still so much more season to play. But it would be the Falcons and the Jets having the bye week. The Eagles versus Cowboys, Broncos versus Jags, Texans versus Chiefs, Seahawks versus Cardinals, and then the Lions and the Rams, and the Texans and the Steelers and the Dolphins. Looking at league leaders, where's stats? So Newton, Brady, Stafford, Manning, Dalton. Some of these are going to get a little bit confused because of the bye week, so some teams have played more than others. Rodgers and Manning are tied for league leaders. Russell Wilson right behind them with 20. Then you got some 18s here from Jackson, Ryan, Brady, and And then you've got rushing leaders with Chris Johnson, Matthews, Ahmad Bradshaw, Trent Richardson, Darren McFadden. LeSean McCoy was traded to the Jets. He's at 511. He's having a pretty good year, and I think he's going to be even better on the Jets. And then we got Trent Richardson, Forte, and Charles with 8. And then we've got Bradshaw, Johnson, and Tate with 7 touchdowns. Then you got Julio Jones and Calvin Johnson Jr., both at 800 yards receiving. They're going to be smashing some records probably. They're going to be close to 2,000 yards receiving this year, no doubt. Santonio Holmes, Mike Wallace, and A.J. Green finishing up the top 5 and with 700-plus receiving yards. We look at Josh Gordon and Holmes leading the way with touchdowns with Calvin Johnson Jr., Sanders, and Demaryius Thomas. Tackles, Stanley Arnaud. You can take a quicker look at this if you want. Whitner, top 5 there as well. We look at Bruce Irvin, Lawrence Timmons, and let's see, where's the rookie? There's Clowney, only got 2. And then Mack still has 5. So they haven't really increased in like the last week or so. We had 6 interceptions by Demario Davis, so he's having quite a year. Harrison Smith, Kason, and Morris Claiborne, 4. Claiborne has been doing pretty great with the Raiders. So he doesn't have to guard the number 1 guy. He's not the number 1 corner. You've got Joe Hayden, then Claiborne, and then Webster, who's also a second-year, he's a third-year man, he's a second-year man. They had a pretty good team, and they went to the Super Bowl last year, and I guess their defense is a reason why. So, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate the update here here in Week 7. We'll be moving on to Week 8 as we continue to chip away at Season 13. see you in the next video. Leave a like if you like this channel. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. I think I'm at 392 subscribers, so we're going to see if we can get over 400. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.